Pokemon took the world by storm in the late 90s. The huge phenomenon had everything: a TV show, trading cards, toys, and of course the games that started it all. The early Pokemon games were two-dimensional RPGs that had players catching creatures from a huge world to battle one another. With that in mind, you'd assume Pokemon's big 3D console debut would have more of the battling that made it so famous. Eventually it did. But not before we got Pokemon Snap on the Nintendo 64. Pokemon Snap is possibly one of the strangest ideas for a spin-off ever, especially with it coming when Pokemon was still so new. You play as Todd Snap, nice name, idiot, who instead of catching Pokemon in spherical prisons, catches them in photos instead. That's right, Pokemon Snap is an entire game about taking pictures. Like most games from this time, Pokemon Snap hasn't exactly held up all these years. That being said, for a Nintendo 64 game, the Pokemon themselves look pretty good. They're all expressive, if a bit polygonal at times, and it's a lot of fun to see them interacting with one another. Because of how certain Pokemon just, well, are, some Pokemon are more animated than others. Jigglypuff and Meowth, for instance, will react in different ways depending on if you chuck an apple at them or if they're mingling with other Pokemon. On the flip side, Pokemon like Metapod aren't going to do much, largely because they can't. The environments, on the other hand, aren't much to look at. The textures are very dated, and while they are of course a distant priority compared to the star attraction, time has not been very kind to these stages at all. That being said, it is nice that Nintendo divided up the 63 different Pokemon throughout the game into different stages that fit the sort of location that they would be living in. Fire Pokemon are in volcanic landscapes, while water Pokemon are located across rivers and water areas. The levels are just a mere stage to set the Pokemon on, and for that they work just fine. Similarly, the music is there solely for hanging a setting on. It's fitting enough to have a tropical sound when on the beach, or a more mysterious tune when in the caves, but you won't be getting any battle themes or town tunes stuck in your head. The Pokemon themselves all sound great though. The sound effects wind up stealing the show instead, with all the chirps and name-calling noises from the cartoon. So, a game about taking pictures. That sounds like it'd have a small audience, and would be kind of boring. But leave it to Nintendo to take garbage and make gold. Pokemon Snap works as an on-rail game, with Todd eventually working his way up to get further upgrades to use to get different Pokemon and better pictures. After the end of a stage, players choose the best pictures and give them to Professor Oak to get graded upon. The score for each picture is tallied up from technique, the Pokemon's size, action, and other elements to get you your score. As touched on earlier, stages have different Pokemon strewn throughout, although there are some repeats in a lot of the stages. At the time of the game's release, there were 151 Pokemon, and unfortunately, Snap only has 63. That being said, it's a hell of a task to find them all. Based on your score and the number of Pokemon you manage to photograph, Oak will award you with more upgrades and further areas to explore and ride through. Despite sounding like a dumb concept, Pokemon Snap is strangely addicting. The game plays like a non-violent rail shooter, with the player taking pictures of Pokemon. Eventually, you'll unlock the Pokemon food-shaped apples and Pester Balls, both of which can be used to get bigger and better shots of different Pokemon. With these items in mind, past levels are given replay value by having Pokemon hidden throughout each level. By doing so, Snap winds up having a bit of a puzzle adventure element to it. There are also hidden areas and other secrets to find, all within the time it takes for the level to be over. Combine this with the need to get higher scores, which requires better pictures, and the handful of levels that Snap has winds up being a lot more than what it'd seem. All this combines together to make an enjoyable title, one that does have a few flaws. While the control in Snap is pretty good, there are times it feels a bit wonky. The camera seems to be spot on, though I could swear there are some pictures that I snapped the lens sooner than the picture at the end shows. There's also Oak's mark at the end of each stage. For the most part, it's pretty easy to guess what he's gonna like based on the size of the Pokemon in the picture. Like this Charizard. This picture is amazing. He's right in my face, so how is it so? Plus, like any adventure game, Pokemon Snap loses its luster a bit once each Pokemon has been snapped and all areas and items unlocked. Each run is exactly the same, which is good when you want to know what Pokemon is coming and when to be ready to snap a photo. But eventually, the player can memorize and have the game down pat. Even still, if you like Pokemon, or you want to play something that's unique, Pokemon Snap is a blast. Poking around and finding all the hidden secrets is neat, and getting better and better pictures feels rewarding. And it's fun seeing the Pokemon interact with one another. But all this begs one big question. Pokemon Snap, as much of an oddity as it was, sold very well. This isn't some hidden gem. Plenty of people know about Pokemon Snap, and that's understandable. It's a really fun game. But what's not understandable is that there's only been one. Maybe Pokemon has outgrown a concept like Pokemon Snap. Seeing how this game only has a little over a third of the original Pokemon, and there are over 700 as of this review, a new Pokemon Snap might just be too much. But at the same time, Nintendo's two current consoles, the Wii U and the 3DS, just seem like they'd make sense for it. Both have gyroscope functions, and Nintendo loves making games with these gimmicks, arguably ruining some in the process. So it's strange that we've yet to see another Pokemon Snap, especially when you consider that just about every other Pokemon spin-off with any kind of success has been given at least one sequel. And that includes Hey You Pikachu, the game where you yelled at a Pikachu for hours on end. But maybe Pokemon Snap can be that one odd Nintendo 64 title that we all look back on as being such a blast to play and was never duplicated for one reason or another. Maybe just this once we don't need a sequel or a remake after all. Yeah, no. Where's Snap 2, Nintendo?